Welcome back, my friends. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is Silver Slayer, so now let's talk silver. This is one of those videos I really hope you watch all the way through because this is jam-packed full of information. This is basically a three-part video breaking down exactly why silver has so much potential and opportunity. And you're going to see how it all kind of falls into place, how the stars are aligning. Check this out. Silver production in Peru is down 7.6%. China reopening will drive another strong year for commodities, which leads to a silver supply deficit, which will move prices. You see where we're headed? Supply is diminishing, production is diminishing. Peru and Mexico are the two biggest silver producing countries, right? Those two alone accumulate more than 50% of the annual supply. So mining production is down, but demand is going to be rising, skyrocketing. We're talking about over 1.21 billion ounces driven this year. So diminishing supply, exploding demand, which means there's a massive supply deficit, actually record-breaking supply deficits this year, which would move the price higher. So you see how everything is kind of falling into place, how we have been expecting it to over the last couple of years? Well, it's starting to happen, right? When I talk about the silver shortage, I'm not talking about next week you're not going to be able to buy silver from APMEX. It's a much bigger scale picture. And the bigger the scale, the more influential and I guess catastrophic the outcome will be. And I use the word catastrophic because we need silver for everything. If we're trying to go green, if we're trying to make EVs to use zero net emissions by the year 2040, if we're trying to flood the earth with, solar panels and all this stuff to basically help global warming and climate change, but we can't do that because there's a lack of silver. So yes, we make a pretty penny, but at what cost if you think about the aftermath? Regardless, though, we know that given the information, which numbers don't lie, given the information, diminishing supply, rising demand pushes the price up. Massive supply deficit. But before we jump into these articles, I did want to mention that I'm going to be doing several massive giveaways over the next couple months as we approach 100,000 subscribers. I'm gaining hundreds of subscribers a day, so that number is going to come quicker than I'm sure a lot of you think. Analytics show around June or July, if we keep this rate up. So before you know it, the giveaways are going to be coming. Actually, I'm going to be announcing the first giveaway very, very soon. We'll probably do like 3 or 4 giveaways over the next couple of months as we approach that number. So if you want a chance to win tubes of Eagles or 1-ounce gold coins, I'm talking about massive giveaways, then make sure you click that subscribe button. So let's jump into this. Silver production in Peru is down 7.6% in 2022. According to the Ministry of Energy and Mines of Peru, silver production in Peru, the world's third largest silver producing country, was 276,693 kilograms in December 2022, a decline of 6.4% compared to 295,622 mined in December 2021. Now, it's very, very important that you guys understand how big of a deal this is. If we're already setting record-breaking supply deficits and we're just now headed into this new green age where solar panel production was up 15% last year and record-breaking supply deficits, but what about when every automobile company is going to be electric by the year 2030? What about when the entire world is green? What would that supply deficit look like then if we're just now entering this new era and we can't even keep up? That's scary to think about. I talk about silver quote-unquote exploding in the year 2025, 2026, because that's when I think we'll be deep enough into all this mess where it will be inevitable to say that silver isn't the most important metal in the world and that it's extremely valuable in terms of us going green and return the Earth's health. I mean, we're talking about silver could be the reason that Tesla has to cut back production or the Green New Deal has to be quote unquote put to a halt to some degree. It would be silver's fault. And if or when people realize that, what do you think the value is going to be? You still think it's going to be $30? No. See, this video, actually, it's a video from Keith Neumeyer, which I will if you guys want to watch, I'm not going to show the video on my channel because I don't want to take away views that he could be getting from you all. So I'll post a link to this article in the description and you can go watch this video for yourself. I'll give a little highlight of what it's talking about. But that is the most important thing right now. You know, when we're talking about Mexico, Peru, Chile, you know, these massive companies, and we're talking about these top three countries, that's most of the silver mine. We're not talking about there's several other countries also producing large amounts. It's basically Mexico, Peru, Chile, those countries alone, those are the biggest producers of all the silver, basically. But then you also have China, which is the biggest consumer of silver, opening back up this year. So we have the biggest consumer of silver coming to the forefront as they open up, meaning there's going to be a lot of silver consumed, but not much being produced. Following a dramatic, volatile 2022 with good returns, a lot of this year's commodity performance may be driven by the Chinese politics. Cautious and defensive trading, with a few exceptions, best describes the early 2023 price action across the commodity sector, a year that hopefully will provide less drama and volatility than last year, when Bloomberg Commodity Total Return Index surged higher to a record first quarter gain of 38% before spending the rest of the year drifting lower before closing with a 16% gain. This was very respectable return considering the strong dollar market, participants spending the second half increasingly worrying about a recession. So this focus helped drive financial deleveraging across the commodity sector and physical destocking to the point that some markets even ended up being ill-prepared for a strong recovery in China, and even less so should the most widely anticipated recession in history turn out to be a shallow one. And that's, I think, the speculation part, why I always say I hate that S word in precious metals, especially in precious metals when it should be based more off fundamentals, because all this assuming, all this speculation, theorizing, FUD, which is fear, uncertainty, doubt, that drives prices, but most of the time, what they're assuming is going to happen never does happen, especially when we're living in today's day and age that there's so much drama and chaos, and people, you know, are so emotionally attached to these things happening. And then you have Ukraine and all that stuff with, you know, all of that is going to just make things harder to find a quote-unquote natural price for things like precious metals, where the price should be based more off of the fundamentals, since we're talking about tangible assets, right? Bitcoin, yeah, speculation purely because it has no real-world uses to some extent. But we're talking about gold and silver that come out of the ground. It should be based off of supply and demand. But nowadays, speculation is across the forefront, and you're seeing people who nowadays, of course, are investing out of fear, because fear is what drives all of social media, which we're watching, you know, so it does make sense. But that's why I always say you got to learn how to take the emotional side of things out of the picture, because that means you're investing irrationally, right? Rational decision making is very important. If you can invest with your head, not your heart, that will play a big part in your success. Imagine this. Imagine two people. They both invest into silver. The one guy is very anxious, worrying, very panicky, always, you know, assuming the worst and watching all this stuff, and assuming, and just, you know, someone like that, very finicky. And then imagine the second guy that's investing in the silver is very cool, calm, collect. You know, doesn't get emotionally attached. He steps back, looks at the bigger picture. Which one of those two people do you think is going to be more successful at investing? The second guy, right? The one that's cool, calm, and collect, because he's not emotionally attached. That fear, uncertainty, doubt, that irrational decision making leads to impulse buying, leads to panic selling. The two worst things you can do. That's why I say invest with your head, not your heart. And that's why most people, and not just in precious metals, most people that invest lose money into everything. It's supposed to be buy low, sell high. Most people buy high, sell low. They buy when all the hype is there, and they have all the validation that their friends are, investing, and that they see silver going up, so they're saying that, yeah, this is perfect, it's going to keep going up. But then a correction happens, because usually when the hype is there, that means there's overbought territory because everyone's getting into it. Then a correction happens, which they don't understand that the markets are supposed to correct. Then they end up selling. They're like, oh, I made a mistake. This isn't going to keep going up. What was I thinking? Then they sell it when it's lower. They are literally doing the exact opposite of what you're supposed to do, right? And that's people that don't understand what they're getting into. And that's why I always say, before you get into silver, understand why we stack silver, what makes it valuable. And that should be with anything, because if you're just hopping on the bandwagon of something and you don't understand why you're investing into it, then you're just gambling. Investors make strategic decisions based off information. Gamblers throw money at something, hope it sticks, with the odds highly against them. Investors take the odds and tweak it into our favor because we're looking at why silver will be going up in the future. If there was no evidence that it would be going up, then that's just gambling, right? If you're investing into something that has no evidence or no information showing that it's undervalued and that it will be going up, then why would you invest into it? Makes no sense, right? And that's why silver makes even more sense than gold, because of this article. These articles right here. Silver production down in Peru. China reopening drives silver higher, as China's the biggest consumer of silver. Record-breaking supply deficits push prices up. Silver makes sense. You don't see gold. You're not seeing gold being scarce or a gold shortage to the extent that we need moving forwards. Or my name would be Gold Guru or Gold Guy or Gold Bug or whatever. But Silver Slayer for a reason. So, anyways, I did want to talk a little bit about some other things. So, I'm doing my giveaway. I highly recommend that you subscribe, because these giveaways are going to be big. It's just a token of my appreciation. And I also wanted to talk about Miles Franklin. So if you guys don't know, I'm partnered with Miles Franklin. It's very good company. If you don't remember those stories I was covering of that Texas billionaire that bought $50 million worth of silver and gold. I mean, we're talking over 900,000 eagles, 100,000 ounces in constitutional silver, and a whole bunch of gold as well. Andy Sheckman filled that order in 2 days. If you start buying through them and start building a relationship with Andy, then it's like buying silver from your friend instead of just a random person online. That connection can be very beneficial, especially since Andy is one of the only few authorized dealers that still works with the U.S. Mint. So if you want to buy Eagles, as the premiums are lowering, if you want to buy junk silver, if you want to make sure that your orders are safe and secured, and even if something were to happen, Andy, you could message Andy or email him, or I'll call him and you could talk to him to make sure the order gets right. That's a luxury that you don't have if you're buying from somewhere else, because they don't know you. They have no relationship with you. So that's why I highly recommend Miles Franklin, and send an email to info@milesfranklin.com. Ask them what their sales are right now. Anything you want, let them know I sent you. Andy would love to hear it. It helps me out as well. Their website will be up shortly, but it's just as easy buying that way, and I really hope you guys do check them out. At least try them at least once, because I do think that you guys will be pleased. I mean, they haven't had a negative complaint in over 45 years, and that's because even if they do make mistakes, which every company makes mistakes, Andy will fix it. He'll make it right. And that's, I think, the important part. I've had some terrible nightmares of situations buying from online companies. If I would have had that situation happen with Andy, I could just call him up, be like, yo, can you fix this? And he obviously would, and I could do the same. You guys can email me, info.silverslayer@gmail.com, say, hey, I have a question for Andy or something, and I'll reach out to him directly. I'll call him. I'll put him on the line with you. You know how many people I've done that for? If they have a question or something, I'll just link you guys together. And that's very powerful to have someone as big as he is, you know, a dealer like that, to be able to have, you know, as a friend, as a direct contact with. That's very beneficial. So anyways, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video up here. Make sure you subscribe. You don't want to miss these giveaways. I promise you will regret it. Thanks for tuning in. This was Silver Slayer. I'll see you guys soon. Peace.